Hi, welcome to the OTEA webinar for this month. We're real happy to have you with us, and I'm going to turn it over to Paul Post, one of our fellow members, and he's going to introduce our guest speaker today.
Yeah, I want to introduce Ifrah Aliawl, who is from Battelle, and Battelle's doing great things with kids these days. And so one of the things they've been working on is computer science type activities. And so she's going to tell us about the opportunities there for teachers around the state to work with computer science and computational thinking with their kids. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you so much, both Bob and Paul. I'm really happy to be here. I'm really excited for everyone else that is here and to discuss, my favorite topic, computer science, STEM education. So yeah, let's get right into it. My name is Ifrah Aliawl, and as Paul mentioned, I am from Battelle. I actually specifically work for Ohio STEM Learning Network, which is a public / private partnership between Battelle and the Ohio Department of Education. I'm going to go ahead and just share my screen and make sure that you all can see it. Zoom is always tricky like that. So let me just see. As you can see, I'm like thinking out loud and as I am talking. Let me see. Okay, so okay, so if somebody can confirm that it is all good.
It's on.
It's on. Great. Okay. And then let's see this. Okay. So this one is the one that is.
Okay, you need to swap screens displays again.
Okay. I'll go ahead and do that. All right. I think we're good to go. Got to work with technology. As much as I love technology, sometimes it can be finicky, for lack of a better term. Okay. So today we're going to discuss computer science and computational thinking. Again, my name is Ifrah Aliawl. For Battelle, I am a STEM project specialist. Again, Battelle and Ohio Department of Education partnered on this program, Department of Ohio STEM Learning Network. And just wanted to give you, this webinar is recorded, but you may have already heard that. And just to quickly share OSLN vision and mission, right? Every Ohio community has access to quality STEM education to drive Ohio's economic future. And our mission is to champion STEM education by establishing a network of professional learning programs and enduring partnerships between schools, communities, and industry. Again, my name is Ifrah Aliawl. That's my contact. Just a little bit information about my journey in education. I studied biological sciences and chemistry at the university level, did my undergraduate in that. I got a master's in education and also my teaching license. I went and had the privilege of teaching chemistry, biology, and computer science for a lot of years at the high school level prior to joining Battelle. I work on the computer science program, so that's why I'm here talking with you all today about computer science programming at Ohio STEM Learning Network. Just to quickly touch base on our goals for this hour, I would like to go ahead and address the what and why of computer science education, particularly in the state of Ohio, present the available courses and professional development opportunities that we have here at OSLN, and also share some information on a computer science licensure, time permitting, and then address any questions that you may have. All right, so just a quick self-reflection. What is computer science? What is not computer science? And what may create some confusion for you? Let's give you some time to think about that. And while you're on that, there's a lot of reflecting, right? So shared understanding of what is computer literacy, what is computational thinking, what is computer science, what is coding. Sometimes these terms are used interchangeably, and although they are related, right, they're not quite to be used interchangeably because they don't mean exactly the same thing. So we'll delve deeper into specific meanings, but what is computer science first and forward?
That's for me, it's the science of understanding how computers work, designing, but computers are not a natural world item. So it's a kind of an odd science, and it's a science that we're developing the technology that we're now studying.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing. Anyone else? All right, so we'll start with like a dictionary definition. Okay, thank you so much for sharing. So the study of computers and algorithmic processes, including their principles, hardware, software designs, and their applications and their impact on society. Very wordy, right? But basically, it's the art of telling a computer what to do. It blends human ideas and digital tools to increase problem-solving power for us. So it involves communication, it involves problem solving, it involves creativity. Computer science education is understanding how computers work and then create new uses. So as you can see right here, a lot of different networks like connecting. That's one way of computer science being used. Another way is understanding, again, how computers work and creating new uses as programming an app. Right, so that's another example of computer science education there. So there's some confusion of what computer science is. So let's talk about what computer science is not. Right, so computer science is not typing. It's not being able to play games, text, do social media, navigate apps, etc. Those are really nice and cool things that I love all of them. Knowing how to use applications, let's say Word or Google Docs, being good with technology, right? All of these things are actually computer literacy. Okay, so those are that's one of the words that we had earlier. So computer literacy. All right. So while we're on the subject of state of computer science education, let's look at the state of computer science education in Ohio. So as we look at nationally where Ohio is, this is for a 2022 report. And as you can see, our wonderful state is right there. So what do you notice about where we are?
We're ahead of Silicon Valley.
How did that happen? It must be our commitment to be the best in computer science education nationally. So that's good, right? We're ahead of some, we're not quite ahead of others, right? And if you look at the color, like we're very light on the color there. So we need to do something. We have some work to do. If we look at computer science education policy across the nation as well, the state level for funding for computer science has increased from 2017 to 2022. State plans for computer science education, K-12, has also increased from 2017 to 2022. And all high school required to provide computer science, we're also seeing an upward trajectory there. So those are some really good things. And I do want to highlight the positives of the things that we're doing nationally. But if we go back to Ohio, what is Ohio by the numbers? Again, this is from a 2022 State of Computer Science Education report provided by code.org. So 18,809. What does that number mean? Those are the amount of computing jobs available each month, like unfilled, open. $86,642. These jobs have an average salary of $86,642. However, there are only about 1,842 computer science graduates in the state of Ohio in 2019. All right, so look at that at the graduate level and at the industry. What about at the high school offering foundational computer science education? So if we look at access by school year, we see at 2018 to 2019. If we look 2019 to 2020, looks like we made some upward progress there. However, we had this global event that happened and impacted all of us that caused us to fall behind a little bit there, access by school year in 2020 and 2021 school year. If we look at access by geography as well, and look at urban, suburban, and rural schools, we see a huge discrepancy there as well. And if we look at participation in AP computer science exams by demographic, we see also a gender discrepancy there, where we have a majority male students taking the AP exam for computer science, which is available at the high school level. And it's one of those AP courses at the high school level that you don't even need a prerequisite for, right? So it's a high school course that should be available. And if it's available at the particular school, then there's no prerequisite. So that will be a nice equalizer if it was available in all schools. So we have 73 male students, 27% female students, and then we also have racial and ethnic discrepancies as well in terms of access to computer science and taking the computer science courses. All right, so sometimes people, and I like to address this question a lot. And before we get into, why I think it's important to have diversity in computer science education, does anyone else want to share maybe why it would be important or why it's not important?
Well, I'm interested in that because it seems like there's general education elements of it, but there's also career educations of it elements, and so how to separate the two.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Elaborate a little bit on, you said the educational and then the career?
Yeah, I think so. In general education, I mean, all students need to know something about computer science. But like you were bringing it up to coding, I'm not sure all students need to know how to code beyond a really basic level just to know what coding is. So it gets into our more career kinds of things, like understanding how data relates to each other and the coding, specific coding in Python or C++ or whatever, and that kind of thing.
Right. So I understand what you're saying. Yeah, so computer science doesn't only entail coding, right? So coding is a part of computer science, and there are other aspects of computer science, and there are other jobs available in the information technology sector, right? One aspect of, why diversity is important in computer science education is that at every step of the pipeline, like creating that opportunity to create technology that looks like the world that we live in. I'm not sure if anybody has heard about the potential biases that could be in the technologies that are created. I was watching a video one time of a college student who had to do an assignment, and one of the assignments was like she was working on a computer program, and the computer program had to basically recognize her face, and she was a Black student, and the computer program just really wasn't recognizing that there was a face there whenever she went on there, right? So she had her peers do it. It would recognize their face, right? But it would not recognize her face. Another instance is like with soap dispensers, right? The soap dispenser just not recognizing a darker skin tone. So these are examples of like technology just not taking into account the diverse populations that we have in the world. So having diverse people at the table will ensure that the technology created is for everybody, or is taking a lot of people into consideration. Again, we talked a little bit about the demand for computing jobs, but if we just quickly take a look at again, what are the industry needs? So 90 employers from multiple sectors were asked to choose their top 3 tech domain and skills. And this is what we're looking at. So data analytics, cloud computing, cybersecurity, Internet of Things. AI and machine learning is a really big one right now, where we're talking about ChatGPT and its impact on education sector and various other sectors as well. So Ohio, again, has a gap, and it seems to be widening. If we look at the year, and as we're going each year, the gap is widening more and more and more. Any questions?
No, not yet.
Not yet? Okay. Good deal. All right. So that means we can move on. So we came here today talking about computational thinking, right? And computer science, and making sure that we understand what are the available programming that we have available. But if we look at computational thinking, which is another word in our shared understanding graph, is what is computational thinking? So we look at computational thinking, the thought processes involved in the expression of solutions as computational steps or algorithms that can be carried out by a computer. It can overlap with computing. It can overlap with coding, can overlap with computer science. It is part of computer science, again, but it's not quite interchangeable. So it can involve data collection, data analysis, data representation, problem decomposition, abstraction, algorithms, automation, simulations, and parallelizations. We think about that, right? And you might think to yourself, why does this all matter? And, computational thinking sounds great, but how do I embed it into my classroom? One of the things that we have been doing, and I have seen teachers do, is a problem-based learning, right? And there are several elements of problem-based learning. And if you look at the elements of problem-based learning and look at computational thinking, you can see how computational thinking can fall under each element of problem-based learning. Right? So if you have a challenge and problem, you could do a simulation or an abstraction. While you're doing inquiry, you do data collection, breaking down the problem, creating algorithms and procedures. Digital age skill, you can involve data analysis, some automation. All that to say that people may not know that they're already doing computational thinking in their classrooms. Right? So if you're doing problem-based learning, you're already doing computational thinking. And if we look at everything that we've been talking about right now, we're seeing that computing is revolutionizing nearly every field. For a moment, how does that make you feel?
Say it feels like today. I mean, every year, every week, there's different ways to do the things that I do.
Right. Is that a good thing?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
Yeah, and sometimes it's like black magic. You know, you have to trust somebody that knows what they're doing with this in order to make your life work. If you don't know computational thinking, or you know, if you're not computer literate, then you're depending on somebody else to answer those questions for you.
Right. So you're touching on something really important, right? So if you're not aware of really how the technology works and how it impacts you, we do, let's say, a lot of our billing online. I know I do. I like to just automate things and just take care of my bills at one time. If there isn't like some information that I have about cybersecurity or how security works online, I could be vulnerable online of my data, you know, being shared or taken for a use for some ways that I probably would not like, right? So because computing is impacting every single aspect of our lives, yes, absolutely. It would be a good thing to know. Anyone else? All right, so there's probably some barriers to overcome, right? So we talked a little bit about Ohio by the numbers, right? We know it's important. We know that STEM education is important, but we saw those numbers. So there's still some barriers that we need to overcome. Maybe student self-perception, teacher self-perception in terms of who can teach computer science, society perception of computer science importance and relevance to their lives, and then access and funding for teacher education and student resources. So one of the things that I have a question for you is, what are some ideas? How can we make computational thinking and computer science accessible to all students? Basically, how can we tackle those barriers that we just looked at?
I think one way, especially with younger students, is to take the computer out of it. So there fortunately are like lots of activities out there for students to use computational thinking, to think about how you come up with algorithms for things and how do you figure out what the important information to know is and that kind of thing. And then worry about getting how the computer thinks about it later.
I really like that idea. So teaching what we call unplugged lessons, right? Where you're not using the computers, but you're thinking in terms of computational thinking, algorithmic process, like creating a solution step by step to solve problems. And then later on, embedding that into computing.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Anyone else? So one of the things that I would be remiss to share, right, since I represent Battelle at Ohio State Learning Network, is how we are tackling these barriers to access to computer science, okay? So one of the things that we're doing is we're offering professional development to Ohio educators in computer science programming. So we have a K-12 computer science professional learning program. So start with kindergarten all the way to 12th grade. We have 4 programs that run concurrently under this umbrella of computer science. And I do want to reiterate that it's more than just a professional learning program. We really do create a community of computer science educators that are there to support each other and see each other through a lot of this, the challenges that we're talking about right now. The professional learning program this year, I'm really excited to share that it's going to be in Akron, Ohio. If you see that there's an asterisk right there, it's for a good reason, because last year we were in Columbus, Ohio, and we were also in Cleveland, Ohio. And next year we may not be in Akron again. We might be somewhere else in Ohio. And we're definitely trying to make the rounds to make this program accessible to as many educators as possible in the state of Ohio. So it entails a 5-day summer workshop, but it's not just one and done with the 5-day summer workshop. We also have academic year workshops throughout the year. So throughout the academic year, beginning from the school year and then till the end of the school year, 4 Saturdays to help support the teachers along the way, and also obviously making ourselves available to answer any questions. These workshops are in person and virtual. to be as accommodating as possible, since many of the educators are traveling from multiple places. So we partner with code.org for our curriculum. And I really wanted to touch base on why we partner with code.org for this program. We really focus and we align on the aspect of accessibility and equity. We like to make computer science education accessible to schools, educators, and students. And it's one of those qualities that we, one of those values that we align with code.org. The curriculum is free for everyone, and it's high quality curriculum. I've used it myself in my own classroom. I've taught the computer science principles, and so that's one of the reasons that we partner with them. So one of the programs that we have under the umbrella of computer science is Computer Science Discovery. It's an introductory computer science course for 6th to 10th grade students. They focus on problem solving, physical computing, programming, user-centered design, and data. And this can be taught as a single semester, 2 semesters, throughout the entire year, or modified as necessary. So we always encourage teachers to modify the curriculum to their needs, their students' needs, so that they're able to take advantage of this curriculum. This same program will be happening during the summer. So we'll have all 4 programs, computer science discoveries, and the rest happening at the same time during our summer TeacherCon, the teacher conference. So that's just information from earlier. So our first academic year workshop will be in September. We'll have that one in person. The last one will be in person. And as you can see, from November to January, during those colder months and where we may have some inclement weather, we'll hold them virtual so that we can be as accommodating as possible there. We also have computer science principles. So this is the AP course that I was referring to earlier. This is the one that I taught when I was in the classroom. It is recognized by the College Board as an endorsed provider for curriculum and professional development. And so this program supports students and teachers new to the discipline. So before I taught this course, I was a chemistry and biology and physical science teacher. So I was trained on the curriculum via this program, and then I went ahead and brought the curriculum to my school and to my students. And using the curriculum and the supports provided by code.org, I was able to successfully teach this course to my students. The curriculum includes daily lesson plans made of inquiry-based activities, videos, assessments, computing tools, allowing teachers to guide and learn alongside students as they discover core computing concepts. And as we go through the academic year, the supports that we provide, typically we try to follow the same pacing so that we can support teachers just as they're getting to this next unit that they haven't covered yet. Same time happening in Akron, Ohio this year. May not be the same place next year, but again, these dates are still the same. So we also have Computer Science A. One thing that I forgot to mention with the computer science principles is that we use the JavaScript programming language on the code.org app platform. So it uses both code blocks as well as the text, so you can use both of them. For the Computer Science A professional learning program, we use Java, the more object-oriented programming language. This one is also happening during the 5-day summer workshop. However, this one has a longer academic, it's the same amount of academic year workshop per se, but we'll have a academic year workshop every month throughout the academic year to provide additional support to the teachers for this particular one. And then we did not forget K-5, right? So we have K-12. So we can never forget our K-5. We love our elementary school and elementary school age students, and it's a foundation, right? This is really where we want to get them and hook them and make sure that they understand computing, how important it is. And it just becomes a way of thinking for them, a way of problem solving for them, right? So we do have the K-5 program. It's happening at the same time again. And I really love the K-5 program. I can't emphasize how much fun it is. They do have a lot of unplugged activities, just as you mentioned earlier, to really teach the way of computational thinking without the computer. So one of the things that we really pride ourselves on is that we help schools be proactive. The cost of this professional learning program is typically $1,800, but thanks to Battelle, State of Ohio, and code.org, we have full scholarships available for Ohio teachers. So another thing that I really want to highlight, because I'm really proud of that we make it as accessible as possible to Ohio's teachers so that we can be, the leader in computer science education in the nation. All right, so I added this slide as a QR code. Feel free to go ahead and see if you could take a picture of the QR, and then it'll go ahead and take you to our website. I want to make sure that you have that available because I have been told that I talk very fast, so you can get the information. I know self-awareness is key, right? Know thyself. So you can get the information there and read it at your leisure. It gives you all of the information about all of the 4 programs under the computer science umbrella that I just gave you in a warp speed method way. And it also gives you access to the application should you decide to apply. And I will be the one to review the computer science application. So I definitely look forward to your applications. And if you have any questions, I will also show here in a little bit, again, my contact information. So while people are maybe taking their pictures and accessing the website, do you have any questions?
No, well, kind of. I mean, they take the webinar and they do the 5-day workshop. What do teachers need to do in order to get qualified to teach this code curriculum?
So what do they need to do to qualify to teach it? Is they have to do the summer, well, fill out the application, get accepted and all that, right? So take this summer workshop, so 5 days.
Right.
They usually get a lot of the curriculum, instruction during that time, right? And they're able to do model lessons and see other model lessons from other educators. Once they do the 5-day summer teacher con, they're eligible to teach the course that following academic year. And then we provide the additional supports, which is also a requirement of the program, throughout the 4 additional Saturday workshops throughout the year.
Okay. What kind of prior knowledge would they have to have about computers and such in order to do well in teaching this curriculum?
Other than just basic usage?
I don't know. Yeah, whatever they would need.
Yeah, being able to use the computer, being able to send email, being able to log in, things of that nature. Okay. That I believe a lot of people may have that down. So, as people who are formally educated, we assume that they're able to use a computer for their everyday life stuff, and that's the extent that they would need to have.
There were several references, as on the slide there, with the C++ and Java and some other things were mentioned. So I presume for some of the high school courses and such, there's an expectation that you come in familiar with those computer languages.
No,
is that accurate?
No, there isn't. So, for the, let's say one of them that I mentioned was the Computer Science A, which is the second AP course. One of the requirements for that is that you've taken computer science principles, professional development with us. And that'll give you a lot of foundation for code.org, App Lab, as well as just foundational programming concepts. Right, so once you have those, then the Computer Science A, which is the object-oriented language, then you would be eligible for that one. But the Computer Science Principles, which itself is also an AP course, you don't need to have any previous experience with any programming language.
Mm-hmm. Oh, one thing I was wondering, is there a, I guess all kind of folks are offering training programs and experiences. TechCore Ohio, I get a whole variety of emails of somebody who's, schlepping some kind of instructional materials. Is there, somewhere, I guess, through an association or whatever, some standards for all the quality that should be, or items that should be covered in the instructional resources, or
right,
or be it a course or something. I guess I'm trying to think, just like, it seems like everybody's in this game now, that there's the priority for it. So
okay,
how do you filter out this stuff versus that stuff, and which are, what chunks of content are going to be most appropriate or useful?
Right, right. I can understand that concern, definitely. For both of the AP courses, right, they're endorsed by the College Board. So they're vetted by an independent, like outside organization, right? There are resources on the code.org website with kind of how they match up with national standards for like computer science. So there's also that, right? So there's definitely a lot of information that covers like the standards that it covers, as well as an independent organization that has vetted the curriculum.
Mhm. You know, the other thing I had, again, given the variety of emails that I do receive and brochures and such, I guess, is there any connection between the various coding and computer education groups? You're representing the, obviously code.org, and that's a certain cluster of folks that are working together. Again, it seems like a whole variety of other associations are, championing the same program. So does, I guess you got any sense that those folks talk to each other, or there is commonality across the, programs and resources?
Well, I really can't speak on other organizations because, as you mentioned, we work with this particular organization more in depth, so we're more familiar with their resources. So that's the only one that I, will be able to tell you. That's the one that I know, because I've also used it personally in the classroom. So I can tell you a lot about that one. But any other, I would hesitate to speak on before doing a little bit more research on that. But I understand the concern of like, there's a lot of people interested in doing this work, which is, good and bad, right? So we want the word to get out. We want the awareness, right? And that forward motion of computer science education being more accessible. But then also we have to figure out how to filter like which courses or curriculum are actually beneficial. So I understand your concern. Yeah. But I'd be more than happy, to discuss it further with you. Yeah, if that's, an option. Is there any other questions before I move on?
No, that's fine. Thank you.
Yeah, just wanted to give people an opportunity to take this QR code, and then that is going back. So just wanted to touch on a computer science licensure for teachers who may not have a computer science licensure. I still have an integrated science license from 7 to 12, and based on the program and the professional development that I took, I was able to teach it at the high school level. But there's going to be some changes here in the near future, so I just really wanted to touch base on that, right? So who can teach computer science courses? As part of Ohio's effort to increase computer science education, Ohio law includes a provision that allows the school district, community school, or STEM school to permit an individual who holds a valid educator license in any of the grades 7 to 12 to teach a computer science course, if prior to teaching the course, the individual completes a professional development program. So like the professional program that I completed, that is how I became eligible to teach the course at the high school level, and then approved by the district superintendent or school principal that provides the content and knowledge specific to the course that the individual will teach. So I received the professional development during this summer, just as I'm talking about for teachers taking our courses now and in the future. And I taught the curriculum throughout the year. But however, starting this year, July 1, the current provision no longer applies, and educators can teach a computer science course only in accordance with section 3319.236 of the revised code. And speaking of that, to teach computer science courses, educators can obtain a valid educator license in computer science or pursue a license endorsement in computer technology and a passing score on a content examination in the area of computer science. So, or they can pursue a supplemental teaching license for teaching computer science. And there's some contact information there if you have further questions about licensure. Just wanted to provide that information to you, just in case, so since this provision is going to go away by this July. Any questions?
Can the teacher who takes your workshop, your 5-day workshop, will they match this requirement here?
So they would no longer match this requirement because it's going away in July
Okay.
2023. So just taking the professional development doesn't automatically make you eligible right away. Different teachers have different like educational backgrounds, right? Some people have done a bachelor's of education. I did a master's of education and got my teaching license that way. So ODE recommends that you contact them directly so that they can look at your transcripts and then advise you further on what to do. But after July 1, it's either obtaining a license in computer science, pursuing an endorsement, or pursuing a supplemental teaching license for teaching computer science.
Okay.
But in order to determine which one you should do, they advise that you contact them directly to look at transcripts and things of that nature to basically advise you appropriately.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right. So again, if you look at ODE website, they'll give you like further information on that. So I really advise that you contact the Ohio Department of Education with that. Another thing is that I wanted to touch on is that OSLN, we try to reach, the entire Ohio state, right? So we have different hubs or regional hubs that we also partner with, and I just wanted to give you some information on that, depending on where you may be living right now, where you may be teaching, and some contact information for those as well. Feel free to take a picture of it. I'll also share these details with Bob and Paul as well. So just wanted to give that information just in case where you are, you want to reach out to our regional partner or our hub directors to get more information on STEM education or any other programming that they may have or that we may have as well.
I had a question. We have the newsletter. We try to put current events in on the website. Is there sort of an abstract of these different opportunities, or what would you suggest? How much information we should try to work into our newsletter, or just get folks to go to the website as the cleanest approach?
Yeah, I would say I'd be more than happy to work with you like on an abstract of just some basic information so that teachers can get like a glimpse, or educators can get a glimpse. But yeah, definitely. There's a lot of information on the website. And since we have an umbrella of computer science and then 4 different programs under that, it is a lot of information. But if there's some overlap, obviously, when they're being held and where they're being held, but in terms of the content, in terms of like the age group, things of that nature, in terms of even the curriculum provider. So for example, K-5, we provide the curriculum. It's not through code.org. So there's some slight differences like that. So for that kind of information, I would recommend the website to get like clear, accurate information, but sharing just a little abstract of what we have available, I'd be more than happy to work with you on that.
Thank you.
And so just a quick self-reflection before we discuss any further. Self-reflection. So you don't have to share, but if you'd like to, you can. I used to think, but now I know, and I still wonder. And I am going to check any chat messages.
Oh, yeah, we had one. Jennifer Keene wants to know if she can get a copy of the slides today, or
Okay.
of the webinar, not necessarily today, but if she can get a copy of them.
Okay. So I do believe that the webinar is being recorded, right?
Yes.
So, okay. So you post the recording on your website?
Yes. I think she also wants a copy of the slides itself.
Of the slides itself. I will, if you can personally contact me, Jennifer, I'll just show my contact information there, and then we can go ahead and work on that. So anyone want to share? I used to think, but now I know, and I still wonder.
Personally, I used to think my computer equipment was okay, and they proved I'm dreadfully wrong. Sorry to join the session late.
No, you're fine. I'm glad that you made it.
So I'm just a little confused. If they take the webinar, can they then teach the computer science the next year? Or not the webinar, but the 5-day workshop and the monthly workshops that you provide. Can they then teach computer science at the high school level next year, or do they have to meet that requirement that you had earlier about a certificate of computer literacy, computer science, in order to do that?
So because that specific provision in the code ends July 1, taking the professional development is one part of being able to teach, but there's another part now that you have to get that supplemental license.
So this would supplement it, but not totally replace it.
It wouldn't replace it, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the teachers that we work with have some, I guess, kind of unique applications, whether they would be doing something with, some, CAD drawing, kind of connections, then slotting that into 3D printing and that sort of thing. And then we have a number of teachers, well, potentially elementary through whatever, that are working with various robotics competitions or something like the National Robotics Challenge or drones in school. And I don't know for sure whether the software and the language they use for those different applications line up with the applications that are being presented in your courses. Paul, do you have a sense of how unique or standalone those various competition languages are, or they're just using what they find?
I'm thinking that the general like a foundational programming concepts would be applicable, but I wouldn't be able to say the languages that they use, like for robotics and for like computers. I assume computer assisted designs, right? So I wouldn't be able to say the particular languages are comparable or the same, but I would say that you would need to have a foundational grasp of like programming concepts for both. And one thing that I want to mention again about like the computer science licensure about this specific provision is for particularly 7 to 12. So all of like the computer science discoveries, computer science principles, and the computer science A, of which the last two are AP courses, and the other one, computer science discoveries, is like the 6th to 10th grade. So K to 5 doesn't fall like under that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of a lot of computer science stuff uses practical examples like the Internet of Things that you had in there. So that's programming devices to do things. I think a lot of robotics too uses a lot more object-oriented programming kinds of things where you can move things around like on Scratch. And you're not in the nitty-gritty that you are with C++, but yeah, so I think there's opportunities there, but different areas are going to do different kinds of looks. Well, obviously the data people are going to look at things differently too. They're looking at things like R, SPSS, and stuff like that to statistically work with materials.
Good stuff. Thank you so much. Yeah. One thing that teachers may wonder, right? I used to think like before I taught computer science, I was again a chemistry and a biology teacher. So I used to think that you had to have, obviously the computer science, you had to have gone to school for computer science in order to teach computer science, right? But now I know that you don't have to do that, right? So although you could take a different course, and I would still in STEM with chemistry and biology, but even a non-STEM teacher can teach computer science. And I still wonder how we can get non-STEM teachers to understand that they can also teach computer science. So that's mine. All right, so that's my little QR code. I wanted to leave you with this. Again, thank you so much for your time and your attention. It's my contact information right here, my email. Contact me with any of your questions. And if you have any questions that I'm not able to address for any reason, I will make sure that I will find somebody that can for us, whether at OSLN or ODE. I'll try to, basically what I'm saying is try to connect you to the right people if need be. But I'll definitely try go ahead and answer any questions that you may have about our computer science program. So please contact me.
I do have one more question. I read in your on your QR code, I went to the K-5, and it said that you are that you tie it to standards in math and language arts in the elementary grades. Do you have any sense of what those standards might be that they tie to it, how they do that, just in a brief nutshell kind of thing?
Right. Okay. So the idea behind like the K-5 is that it's a foundational course to understand computing, like mostly unplugged and algorithmic processes, right? So, and because K-12, K-5 teachers typically teach multiple courses at the same time, we tie it to the math concepts and the ELA concepts to just embed it in there, so it doesn't become another content that they have to teach, like a separate course.
Right. They don't have time for that. So
they don't have time for that. So yeah.
Okay, I'll do some more research on that and see what kind of activities they do and how that's tied to their standards. That would be helpful.
Absolutely.
Now, does that same strategy slide into the middle school level as well?
Well, at the middle school level, it's a course in and of itself. So at the middle school level, it's computer science discoveries, high school computer science principles, and computer science A. So it's a separate course. Elementary strategy is a little bit different given the context of elementary school teachers and what they teach on a day-to-day. So we would try to definitely make it as feasible as possible.
How close do you think Ohio is to requiring some computer science classes or courses in middle school and high school to require that?
Really, there's a lot of discussion about that, right? So I can't say how close we are, right? But it's a really pressing and urgent thing that we try to make sure that the government level, we understand that it's pressing and urgent. But it's not been finalized yet. It's not something that I can say it's going to happen next year. But
with Intel in our backyard, it would certainly drive that, I would think.
It would really be beneficial for us.
Yeah, if they can farm the home team to help manage that situation, I think that'd be good.
I think that would be really good for us. Economically, I think, that would be good for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I hope that happens soon. We're definitely pressing for it on our end.
Okay.
But there's a lot of discussions about that in terms of will it hinder? Will it help? Right. So trying to get a fine balance of what the right way forward is.
Okay, great. Well, this has been really informative, and I'm sure we're going to have a lot of people getting online, looking at this, watching this webinar to see what's happening and what they can learn about this, and we'll get the information out in both my newsletter and I'm sure in the OTEEA newsletter as well about your upcoming workshops and so forth. So this has been really, really helpful. Really good.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you inviting me and giving the platform and the space to discuss this. And absolutely, let me know if you have any questions. I put in my email in the chat, just if people want to just copy and paste, and they're not able to, because Aliawl, right? We were talking, Paul and myself were talking earlier about how to pronounce my name and how to spell it, even because that I and before the A is English. English doesn't like that. That's not a natural diphthong for English language.
So, if they can spell your name, they certainly can do coding. It shouldn't be a problem.
Let me tell you, right? Right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I was wondering, another question is sort of the idea of how computer science fits with other things. And so, for instance, computational thinking is one way of approaching problems, but there are others. I know OSLN deals with some of the others. And so I think one of the things that's kind of important when working with kids is to say, okay, here's here's these set of tools. Now you've got to figure out, do these set of tools work with the problem that you have? And,
Right, right.
yeah.
You know, I like that. And I love education, right? Is it obvious that I love education? I consider myself a lifelong learner. And there's this quote that I like, and I think it's, you know, my science idol who said at Albert Einstein that education is just not memorizing facts, it's learning how to think. Right. And I think of computer science in the same way, as learning how to think and like how to use the information, how to use the tools to solve whatever problem is in front of you, right? Because the problems aren't always going to be nice and neat and compacted the way you like them.
Great.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Would there be a way for us to access your PowerPoint? I know we can write to you and get that. I suppose we could do that, and then you could send it to us, and we could put it on our OTEEA website, because I think people would want to not only see the video that we're doing, but also perhaps explore that you know, your PowerPoint a little more in depth too, and take their time, be able to go through it at their own pace.
Yeah, I would definitely, you know, I hesitate to say something, right? Because some of the things that we create in-house are, for lack of a better term, the property of the company.
Right.
So I definitely would have to get back to you on that.
Okay.
That's why I said I would like you to email me, and then we can figure out how to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Anything else, fellas?
No, in good shape. Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
This is great.
If we have other questions from our membership or from other contacts and networks that we have, we'll certainly funnel them toward you so you can answer them directly and help them out.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Well, good luck on your workshop, and thanks for your time.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Bye now.
Take care.
Bye.